The Diddy docuseries produced by 50 Cent just dropped on Netflix, and all you need to know is that 50 Cent has more receipts on Diddy than the literal FBI. And when I say he has receipts, I'm talking about 30-year-old, never before seen videos and audio recordings from Biggie, Tupac, and one of the craziest recordings that's never been heard before from one of Diddy's LA associates that tells the police what he claims really happened the night that Tupac passed away. The first 2 episodes aren't even about his trial or allegations, they're just about how bad of a person Sean Combs was, is, and his involvement with Tupac, Biggie, and their death. And the biggest takeaway was that Diddy was a very jealous and envious person who so badly wanted to be that guy. Even as a 19-year-old intern at Uptown Records, he would go after the biggest artist, Al B. Shore's girlfriend, Kim Porter. He always wanted to be the biggest guy and wanted what all the biggest artists had, which makes so much sense on why he was so jealous of Tupac. Because Tupac was everything that Diddy wasn't and what he so badly wanted to be, and what made him even more jealous was the connection that Tupac had with Biggie. Believe it or not, Tupac and Biggie had a good relationship early on. Tupac loved Biggie's first album, and Biggie loved everything that Tupac stood for. And they were becoming good friends, so Diddy, being the control freak he was, wanted to intervene and start working with Tupac. But Tupac refused. He didn't care about working with Diddy and only wanted to work with Biggie. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I could make a part 2 explaining further, but I think you should check it out for yourself, because the first 2 episodes were extremely interesting. There's never before seen footage, and I think it's a must watch if you're into the 90s hip-hop era.
I just finished watching the Diddy documentary. Here are my immediate reflections. If you're more concerned with hating him than stopping this from happening again, keep scrolling. 1. Accountability is strongest in community. Ultimately, the court system didn't hold Diddy accountable. The court system cannot do it. To look at everything that happened that led to such gross harm, even the systems, is so much bigger than one person. And courts can't do that. Transformation requires self-accountability. No one's gonna be self-accountable if that means going to jail. And that's why the realest nigga in the whole shit was Kirk Burrow, the co-founder of Bad Boy. And by that I mean the most accountable interview, because he said the first time he helped Diddy do some shady shit, he said, that's when I bought into the cult. Cults are not made up of one person. They cannot function without the consent and complicity of all the people around them. And there's so many reasons why we consent and why we're complicit. Usually it's because we get some kind of benefit, even if it's just the benefit of not having to be uncomfortable to say some real shit. And eventually, when Kirk wouldn't mess with Biggie's paperwork after he died, Diddy fired him, because we're weaker as individuals. Had his people come together and held like a, what are they called? Intervention. Like, we each are not going to participate in your life the way you need us to unless you change. Then they would have had a fighting chance of getting, of him even being able to truly see there's a problem, and not just that this person has a problem and that he has to do something different. And I think there's something we all can learn from that. Someone called me this morning talking about some drama. I was like, yo, did you say something to the person who did the thing? Because that's the only way these things transform. This culture got us all trying to be comfortable instead of being honest. There are serious consequences for that over the course of years. Celebrity culture thrives on that. Capitalism thrives on that, because the more money somebody has, the more clout somebody has, the more people are reliant on them and don't say nothing, which is a systemic problem courts can't solve. Those power dynamics breed like narcissism. My hurtful habits from being colonized, traumatized, and just a human, they too would be multiplied if I was in control of billions of dollars. I don't say any of this to hold Diddy himself less accountable. I actually have very little power to hold him accountable because I don't know him. Accountability and care actually go hand in hand. This is what I mean. I worked for Diddy very briefly. I was a contractor. I got hired to write something for him, not music. And just in our one meeting that we had, in my follow-up, I said what I understood to be the real thing that needed to be said. And I got an email saying, Mr. Combs will not be needing your services anymore. Because who the fuck am I? The people who are in the best position to hold him accountable are the people who care about him, who are close to him. I always trip out when I see these documentaries and you got all these people talking about, you know, whoever the monster is. Like, what were you doing, bro? You was right there. Not that I'm saying they're equally responsible, but we are collectively responsible. Courts can't transform people, communities, systems. Only we can do that.
It's the most of my man. That Diddy documentary, that shit was just crazy, man. 50 Cent got a lot of receipts, so a lot of people been saying that 50 Cent is a snitch, and he was wrong for building a documentary on Diddy. But 50 had to get his lick back. Diddy wanted to take him shopping. He wanted to turn him in a groupie, and 50 wasn't going for that shit. So Diddy went and sleep with 50 baby mom, be freaking her out. He be doing a lot of weird shit with these girls, man. So a lot of people are saying that 50 is heading to his full potential, because if you can go so far just to build a documentary on Diddy to tarnish his old reputation and his career, everyone know that Diddy is a monster and he been a demon for a long time, and we had to hold him accountable. But no one believed that 50 would be the one to build a documentary on Diddy. Man, this shit was just crazy. There were a lot of takeaways in this documentary, man. They said that Diddy got something to do with Tupac getting killed, and he was so jealous of Tupac. He wanted to sign Tupac, and Tupac wasn't having it. So Diddy was so jealous, and he feels so bad because he can't control the narrative. Because he got so much hate for Tupac, and Biggie Smalls and Tupac was so close, and he wanted to be the height of popularity just like Tupac. He wanted the spotlight. So I believe that he would have get these two ninjas killed so that he can get all of the recognition for what is going on. So I understand when Tupac loses life, all of his records sell off the shelf, all of the albums sold out. Man, they was making a lot of money off this shit, man. So it seems like Diddy got an idea. So if Biggie Smalls can get out of the way, I can make more money. And then he let Biggie Smalls pay for his own funeral. Talking about a real sucker. That is just some of the craziest part about this documentary, man. Diddy is just not a good person, because no way, why would you do that? And you said that Biggie Smalls is your best friend? Man, Diddy don't got no friends. Diddy only think about money. Money is Puff Daddy real friends, man. So Diddy did everybody wrong, even the dead. And when Biggie Smalls passed away, he took the Rolling Stones cover. He wanted all of those spotlight, and then he built a tribute for Biggie Smalls, and he be dancing in the video like he's celebrating his death. So this ninja be walking on Biggie Smalls' grave since he died, man. That's why Biggie Smalls' mom said the same shit. You know what happened to my son? You know who got him killed? Man, this shit was just crazy. Why would you not hire more bodyguard? Biggie Smalls can't walk on his feet, and you crime to the place where Tupac got killed. And a lot of people wasn't messing around with Biggie and Diddy since Tupac got killed, because they said that they got something to do with it. Why would you do that to your number one artist? Man, Biggie Smalls was sacrificed. That is what I believe. Diddy sacrificed that boy. So I don't really care what they want to say, but the diddler, he need to suffer in jail. He need to hold accountable for all of the bullshit that he been doing all of these years, because he is a real sucker. But it is what it is, man. It's the most of mine. Have a blessed day.
So I watched the Diddy documentary, unfortunately. And I think what I was left with the most is, I think it should be reiterated, how deplorable 50 Cent is, the gleefulness at which he did this to maybe attempt to absolve himself of how horrible he is and how much harm he's also caused to people. As another uber capitalist, you're aspiring to power and wealth. In the process, you are going to harm people. It's inevitable. And that's all that did. He wanted some level of power that was never going to be attained, to be like a white cis man. That was never, ever going to happen. You were never going to be able to get away with the things that white cis men get away with under white supremacy. I hear people talking about that Diddy is gay. Diddy is not gay. And I despise when people say that someone is queer or gay because they have sexually assaulted someone who is of the same gender. Sexual assault has nothing to do with desire, nothing to do with your sexuality. It has everything to do with power. It has everything to do with dominance, right? We don't know what Diddy's sexuality is, and also it's neither here nor there. Who gives a fuck, right? You're horrible. All you've done, it seems, is abuse people so that you can move ahead, so that you can get what you want, whether it be an orgasm, a record deal, more money, to be able to have a producer, whatever it is. It was always for Diddy's benefit. It has nothing to do with sexuality. So I really need people to separate those things because they're just not connected. The other piece to this too, I think the biggest thing that I'm sitting with is just how sad it is, like that so many people knew that Diddy was causing harm to all of these people, in particular Black women. They said nothing because they too wanted to build or grow in the ranks of power and capitalism. So they were willing to stay silent about these things, even though they watched it at a party. They knew that Cassie was 19 years old, right? You knew all this stuff, but you still stayed silent. That's the thing that gags me, is the lengths that people will go to protect someone out of hopes that that will then propel them to some level of fame or power. Like, capitalism is so just insidious and gross that people will literally overlook someone being brutally harmed so that they can get theirs. That is just, that's wild to me. That's wild. Also, the lack of trigger warnings throughout this, like, it just was, this was just, you could just tell that 50 Cent did this so that he could look better, make himself appear better. He's not. He sucks. You belong under the jail with P. Diddy.